Is this the dagger?
G'day guys, JB here, coming at you with another Legends profile video. I'm trying to bump a couple of these out every couple of weeks, and certainly trying to really push a few of these out in order to get some content, and not only that, really try and prepare towards the start of the season, where hopefully I'll be able to have some form of presentation when it relates to an updated top 50 NBA players of all time. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm also cognizant of my highlight channel, which I'm trying to also pump up content, promote content. I've got plenty of stuff there right now through till October that's been previewed and is likely going to make a nice little impact where it can. So everything considered there, that channel should be fine. But we'll continue over here on the regular channel. I'm going to try and mix a couple of things up here. And today's Legends profile is a more modern NBA great, and for me, probably the most underrated great of his era, particularly when you look how he stacks up statistically. When you look at the situations that he was put in, they certainly weren't as favourable as certainly many of his peers or counterparts, which is one of the big things that sticks out for me. With LaMarcus Aldridge, I wanted to get someone that retired in the 2010s, or not retired in the 2010s, but played in the 2010s, retired in the 2020s. It was a mix. I didn't know whether I was going to make the selection here between LaMarcus Aldridge or another power forward of that era. There are a couple of guards of that era that I was going to touch base to get back to the big men of the game. It's been a while since I'd done a traditional big man. Get LaMarcus Aldridge out of the way. We've covered Dennis Johnson, Kevin McHale, Dennis Ben Wallace, Dwight Howard, Paul Arizin, Sam Jones, Nate Thurmond, probably the last real traditional big that we covered there, Bobby Dandridge, Bobby Jones, Sidney Moncrief, Joe Dumars, and of course recently Jason Kidd. But I wanted to cover someone that was more modern, as I mentioned there, and LaMarcus Aldridge certainly fits the bill there. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's take a look back at the career of LaMarcus Aldridge. The forgotten power forward of his generation, let's take a look back at the career timeline of LaMarcus Aldridge. He's a two-time All-NBA second-team selection, a three-time All-NBA third-team selection, a seven-time All-Star selection, and All-Rookie first-team selection. He finished top 10 in MVP voting 3 times. In the regular season, he played 1,076 games, averaging 33.7 minutes per game. He averaged 19.1 points, 8.1 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 0.7 steals, and 1.1 blocks a game on 1.5 turnovers a game. He shot 49.3% from the field, 32% from deep, and 81.3% from the free throw line. In the playoffs, he played 72 games, averaging 37.1 minutes per game. He averaged 20.8 points, 8.5 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 0.7 steals, and 1.4 blocks on 1.6 turnovers. He shot 45.5% from the field, 32.7% from deep, and 82.4% from the free throw line. Debuting among the all-time great crop of power forwards of the 2000s, delivering a transition period for the position and the league in the 2010s, and helping usher in the next great period of big men in the 2020s, LaMarcus Aldridge will likely be lost to history despite a resume that has seen many a player make the Naismith Hall of Fame. A big man that could play back to the basket or stretch the floor, Aldridge was never quite able to find a place to truly be the guy on any team, always finding himself as somewhat of a second option, but eventually needing to be the number one for his team to have any chance of making things competitive or interesting. When history serves notice of big men through the time period of his career, you think of Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Blake Griffin, Kevin Love, and Anthony Davis. Yet in his prime, Aldridge has a case as the best power forward in the league, albeit in a small market team that lacked the exposure and glamour of those before him. A 20,000 point player and a $200 million career earner, Aldridge remains one of the greatest Portland Trailblazers of all time, the transition big for the San Antonio Spurs after the conclusion of Tim Duncan's career, and a part of the jumble that was the Kevin Durant Brooklyn Nets. As a Blazer, he remains the franchise's all-time leader in rebounds and is a feature among the top 10s in games, minutes, makes, free throws, blocks, PAR, usage percentage, and win shares both total and offensively and defensively. If an all-time Blazer team was to take the floor, Aldridge would have his rightful place at the power forward position. As a Spur, he sits top 10 in points, made shots, offensive rebounds, blocks, PER, usage percentage, and total win shares. For the timeline of his career, Aldridge ranks top 10 in points, rebounds, made shots, minutes played, games played, win shares, and offensive win shares. No matter what way you want to chop it, Aldridge measures up with his peers. Aldridge was drafted second overall by the Chicago Bulls in the 2006 draft and immediately traded to the Portland Trail Blazers. In any other draft, Aldridge would be considered a perfect draft day trade. However, eventual Rookie of the Year and teammate Brandon Roy would steal the show after he was traded to the Blazers from pick 6. Looking across the 2006 draft, Aldridge managed to carve out arguably the best career of any player, and this includes Andre Bargnani, Brandon Roy, Rudy Gay, JJ Redick, Rajon Rondo, Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker, Paul Millsap, and JJ Barea. While some may have been more notable for their team success, and others may be better known for their flash in the pan, no player was consistently among the top 10 best players in the league and performing at an elite level for as long and as consistently as Aldridge. Even among his own rookie class, Aldridge retired with the most minutes, points, rebounds and blocks, finished top 5 in games played, as well as top 10 in assists and steals. While Aldridge rode shotgun next to 2007 Rookie of the Year Brandon Roy, the Blazers looked set to capture yet another big draft pick to top up an exciting core heading into the 2010s. Aldridge was by no means a standout as a rookie, however the promise he showed, along with the instant impact of Roy, meant the Blazers had a goal in sight. All they needed was just one more capable star to complement them. A little more size, a little more length, and the ability to control a game. And with the number 1 pick, they had every player at their disposal. A plethora of generational talent that maintained their health for a long career. Kevin Durant, Al Horford, Jeff Green, Joakim Noah, Marc Gasol, Thaddeus Young. However, the Blazers settled on the injury-prone Greg Oden. Neither Portland or Aldridge didn't realise it yet, but this was the first catalyst to his reliance on being the saving player for the franchise. Oden would miss the 2007-8 season as Aldridge and Roy took the next step to aid the team to break 500 before playing 61 games in 2008-9 and aiding the club to its first 50-win season in 6 years. By this time, the Blazers had established that Aldridge and Roy were going to be the key building blocks, with such a fragile frame in Oden complementing them when available. However, by the end of 2010, Roy would also catch the injury bug that had caused so much damage to Oden. This left Aldridge all but no option but to take control of the team. This wouldn't be for the first or last time in his career this responsibility would fall on his shoulders, particularly from a health standpoint. After failing to fire in the 2011 playoffs against the eventual champion Dallas Mavericks and Dirk Nowitzki, the Blazers would find themselves out of the postseason again in the lockout season of 2011-12. It did have its advantages though, as Aldridge was able to break through for the first of 7 career All-Star selections and begin to make a case as the best power forward in the league. Meanwhile, the Blazers would secure the 2012-13 Rookie of the Year Damian Lillard in the draft. Establishing himself as one of the most exciting guards in the league, Lillard looked to be the key piece Aldridge was after to get back on track in Portland and make another playoff run. This would occur in 2014 as the team delivered their first playoff win in 14 years. While the season and series is remembered for the big Lillard shot to end it, it should be remembered for the big step up in production from Aldridge to reach that point, as well as the monster series against Dwight Howard he delivered. Averaging a rounded 30 points, 11 rebounds and 3 blocks in the series, Aldridge set the tone with back-to-back 40 pieces that all but secured the series. As Lillard continued to grow, Aldridge remained an all-star and consistently found himself the man to go to through his consistent and efficient play. It wasn't flashy, it didn't have flair, but it was consistent, contained substance, and proved to be crucial when the team needed a reliable bucket. Another playoff berth for the Blazers was all but a season extender in 2015, as Memphis disposed of them 4-1. Aldridge proved to be the team's best player, but a subpar shooting display all but ended his time in Portland. As free agency hit, Aldridge was presented with one of the best learning tree opportunities of all time with the San Antonio Spurs. Not only to head over and step up his game in a more conducive team-orientated environment where his game could fit, but to play next to the legendary Tim Duncan in his final season. After 9 years a Blazer, Aldridge was a Spur, with a chance to continue on the team's success after an almost unprecedented 19 years of continued achievement. The bonus of playing for San Antonio not only came with the coaching staff and Tim Duncan, but in emerging leader Kawhi Leonard. Next to Leonard, Aldridge could continue to thrive as an all-star forward with a traditional big game and solid help D, whilst allowing for a star perimeter player to control the team. It appeared that Aldridge had found the perfect balance that had eluded him in Portland. Good coaching, a deep team, solid health, and an efficient offsider. The first issue that reared its head in this journey to success with the Spurs was the rising dynasty of the Golden State Warriors with their acquisition of Kevin Durant. The second, the eventual health decline and departure of Kawhi Leonard. While Aldridge was not selected as an All-Star in 2016-17, he was crucial to the Spurs' success, and it looked like he would be able to produce at an All-Star level akin to David Robinson next to a young Tim Duncan, but Leonard's playoff injury in 2017 in the conference finals and drama-filled 2018 saw him depart and Aldridge back to the top of the food chain in an all-too-familiar circumstance. Returning to the All-Star game in 2018, the end-of-season trade of Leonard for Raptors star DeMar DeRozan appeared again to revamp the Spurs and Aldridge heading to 2019. But little did all involved realise that this would be the last time Aldridge would come close to touching his consistent standards. The final All-Star selection and 81 games certainly proved crucial in San Antonio making it to the postseason for a record-tying 22nd season. But Aldridge began what is to be seen as an almost sudden decline, let alone sharp decrease in production. The 2019-20 COVID-interrupted season saw Aldridge play just 53 games before managing a combined 73 games over the last 2 seasons of his career due to a medical-induced retirement midway through 2020-21 and fleeting appearances among his return in 2022. It seems cruel for Aldridge that his career started and ended among drama-filled teams with injury concerns that all but stopped any chance of greatness in their tracks, but it should never take away from what he was able to produce as a player. While never playing in a major market for a franchise that could maintain a healthy and active roster for the length of his stay, to carve out a decade-long patch of consistency should be commended and celebrated.